Welcome to our daily news program coming to you here on Canal Algérie and in today's top stories. The President of the Republic awards the Athir Merit Medal to the Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. Pursuant to the guidelines of the President of the Republic, the families hit by the recent floods in Tipaza and Bouaké provinces are being rehoused to the great delight of citizens. The Army General Saychingareha, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, supervises a night tactical drill Al-Israr 2023 with live ammunition. And the production of vegetable oil is to be boosted with the inauguration of a new plant in the eastern province of Bijaya. Good evening and welcome back. The beginning is with the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, who awarded the Medal of National Merit Athir rank to the President of Portugal, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. In other news, no less than 132 families have been rehoused in 48 hours in Tipaza and Bouaké provinces in line with the President's guidelines following the recent floods. Najah Tayyar has the details.
In Tipaza, one of the provinces affected by the floods which caused important material damage. To this effect, 111 families lost their homes, notably in the localities of Bousmaïl and Fouka. These victimized families are being rehoused in Bouharoun, Khmisti and Fouka. The operation has started in a record time. I thank the President of the Republic for the honorable decisions he has taken concerning our rehousing within 48 hours. I also hail the extraordinary outpouring of solidarity from the civil society, the associative movement and everyone mobilized in this operation. It really warms the heart.
I am disabled as my child. Mr. the President, you have honored us by offering us this accommodation. We can only salute the speed with which we were taken in charge of in less than 48 hours.
Bouaké also was affected by the torrential rains. Here, 219 families have been identified. Initially, 11 families benefited from their brand new homes. We lived a real nightmare, but today it is like a new life that begins for us. We have lived through a real ordeal, but the public authorities have provided us with good care since the collapse of our house until our rehousing. Even if the loss of their homes was a painful ordeal, their housing after the floods was a relief that made a lot of people happy.
In another context, and as part of his visit to the 2nd Military Region, Army General Saychingareha, Chief of Staff of the National People's Army, supervised a night tactical exercise with live ammunition Al-Israr 2023 at the 2nd Firing and Maneuvers Range at Rjam Demouche. Further details with Ines Kilo.
At the beginning, the Army General listened to two presentations by the commander of the 2nd Military Region and the commander of the 8th Armored Division on the general concept of the exercise, which was divided into two phases. The first was theoretical, in which the staffs of the regional commands and the participating units engaged in it, and the second was dynamic, during which the units implementing the exercise were involved. At the second field of shooting and maneuvering in Rjam Demouche, the Army General followed closely the unfolding of the exercise, which was carried out at night in conditions very close to reality, in line with the worked-out plan, and accordingly with the set objectives, mainly represented in improving the skills of commanders and staffs in preparing and organizing night combat actions, and in full interoperability between the various forces, as well as providing commanders with experience in controlling units by achieving harmony and cooperation between units and subunits, and enabling crews to acquire more skills in controlling weapon system, as well as testing operational readiness and the ability to carry out night combat actions, and the ability to successfully implement tasks in various circumstances.
وصد هجمات العدو وتكملوا في تداخل الترددات مع السلاح الوطني.
The exercise denoted the high readiness of the participating units and their ability to successfully carry out the assigned tasks, as well as the crew's mastery of high-tech weapons and equipment. It also demonstrated the development achieved by our armed forces in recent years. At the end of the exercise, the Army General congratulated the personnel of the units involved for the enormous efforts they had made throughout the 2022-2023 combat readiness year and during the preparation and execution of this exercise. In this context, he hailed the results obtained, which were in line with the plans set for this purpose, as well as the objectives and nature of the main missions assigned in the area of responsibility. Finally, the Army General reviewed the units engaged in this exercise.
Appointed by the President of the Republic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abroad, Ahmed arrived in New York for a working visit in preparation for the renewal of the non-permanent members of the Security Council on June 6th. As a reminder, Algeria is a candidate in these elections for the position of non-permanent member of the Security Council for a 2-year term. Its candidacy having been backed and validated by the African Union, the Arab League and the Islamic Cooperation Organization. During his visit, the head of the Algerian diplomacy will hold talks with several representatives of members of the countries of the UN, with its Secretary General and senior officials of this organization, to set out the objectives and priorities to which Algeria aspires and aims to achieve during its term of office. In other news, the Interior Minister Brahim Merad received on Tuesday the United Kingdom Minister for Immigration, Robert Jenrick. The meeting allowed the discussion of important issues of common interest, notably the situation in the Sahel, the Mediterranean, and as part of the political consultations between the two countries. To the province of Bijaya now, where an oilseed crushing plant belonging to the Civital Group was inaugurated on Tuesday. The unit Jauhara is the first in Africa and the fourth worldwide, an important plant that will boost the vegetable oils production in Algeria. Both soybean and rapeseed oil will be finally available in the national market after the official opening of the new factory of Bijaya province, having a capacity that exceeds 3,000 tons per day. Story by Melissa Kevash.
Soya oil, that of sunflower and rapeseed, will now be available and produced through local agriculture, thanks to the oilseed crushing plant factory belonging to Civital Group, which will now enter a new zone of activity.
المصنع ذات طاقة إنتاجية 11,000 طن يوميا
The production of our factory is of 11,000 tons per day in terms of soya, 5,000 tons of rapeseed, and 6,000 in terms of sunflower.
The factory is equipped with modern technologies up to international standards of food security. As for its large capacity, it is able to cover the entire local market's demand.
The production capacity exceeds 3,000 tons per day. We produce bottles from 1 to 10 liters. The factory is operational around the clock to cover the needs of our consumers.
The factory ensures good quality oil to satisfy its clients and to impact positively the Algerian economy.
Our production covers not only the need of Algerian consumers, but also the foreigners due to the amount destined towards exports.
As a main objective, becoming the best oil producer at the national level, this plant aims to upgrade its products and keep playing its vital role in the agri-food industry to the great delight of its growing customers.
In a new development, the Minister of Trade, Tayyip Zitouni, took part in the meeting of trade ministers of the African Continental Free Trade Zone. Held in Nairobi, this meeting aims to define the priorities of implementing the FTAA agreement. And the Algerian experience in mine clearing was at the heart of a colloquium held at the International Conference Center in Algiers, bringing together national and foreign experts in quest of highlighting the program initiated by the government right after independence to neutralize the mines left on our territory by the French colonizer. Najah Tayyar tells us more.
The Algerian experience in mine clearing was at the heart of the colloquium, an event which brought together several experts and international organizations. The aim is to highlight the program initiated by the government to clear all areas of the colonial French forces who massively mined the Algerian territories. Algeria reaffirms its full readiness to put its experience in mine clearing into practice and contribute in an effective and coordinated manner to the destruction of anti-personnel mines scattered around the world in order to put an end to the ensuing humanitarian and economic consequences. Mines which claimed a large number of victims even after the colonial period were no less than 11 million anti-personnel mines left by the colonizer on the national territory after independence. Just after the independence, Algeria initiated a national strategy to neutralize the mines left on our territory. Thanks to the National People's Army, they are all defused today. I was very young at the time. My mission was to cut cables near the borders, and that's when I came across the mine. Everything happened very quickly. I lost my foot at the time of the explosion. Lasting 2 days, the symposium is an opportunity to share experiences between the participants who come from around 50 countries and to encourage cooperation in the face of the danger of anti-personnel mines within the framework of the African Common Action.
Abroad, the International Non-Governmental Organization for Human Rights firmly condemned the recent Moroccan violations against Sahrawi people, calling for the absolute respect of human rights and the UN resolutions in occupied territories. Hostilities, including a series of acts ranging from slanderous media defamation to military operations as well as cyber attacks. The Moroccan population, alongside a number of organizations, all denounced the corrupted policy of the Makhzen regime, as well as the repression endured by its population lacking basic human rights. More details with Melissa Kabash.
Violence in Moroccan prisons remains an alarming issue that should raise the alarm of the international community. A number of reports of non-governmental organizations as well as testimonies are made regarding torture practiced against detainees. Prisoners are captured in inhuman conditions and suffer from all kinds of physical and psychological violence. These inhuman exactions remain unpunished. As for the complaints, they aren't taken into consideration. The prisoners' families keep fighting to denounce the practices perpetrated against their beloved ones by organizing sittings with the hope to draw the attention of media and international opinion. They also aspire to put pressure on the Makhzen and oblige it to review these terrible conditions. Both Organization of Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch documented several cases of torture within Moroccan penitentiary institutions. Morocco has already been condemned for torture by the Committee Against Torture of the United Nations. The French newspaper Le Monde dedicated an entire page to the freedom of speech in Morocco, indicating that the corruption policy of the Makhzen, notably in the sector of justice. The Makhzen regime puts his people under the worst conditions, starting with the lack of basic human rights such as food, security, health, and education.
And new Zionist attacks resulted in the injury of no less than 46 Palestinians on Tuesday during a new raid in the Askar camp, East Nablus. On the other hand, dozens of settlers stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque under the protection of the Zionist police. And we wrap up our today's news with sports. Algeria is getting ready for the 15th edition of the Pan-Arab Games. A delegation from the Union of the Arab National Olympic Committee is in Algeria for an inspection visit so as to review the sports facilities mobilized for the event scheduled from the 5th until the 15th of July. And with that, our today's news edition comes to a close. Thank you for joining us and goodbye.